A very good afternoon to all of you. How are you all? Right, so finally we have an MAHCET session. We have had some sessions earlier. Have a look at those sessions, right? We've discussed what MAHCET is all about, how you can prepare for English in MAHCET. Today we are going to talk about a specific topic which is error correction. This is a part of grammar, and you know that a good number of grammar questions are asked in MAHCET English. So let's begin with this session. I welcome you all. Hi Om, good noon. Hello Prateek. All right, so this tells me that I'm visible and audible. Hi Tanishk. Okay then, let's begin with this session and I'll show you 3, 4 different question types today, okay? And we are going to talk about how to approach them, how to improve our accuracy in these questions, right? Of course, your accuracy in these questions is also dependent on your knowledge of various concepts of grammar. But through smart elimination, you can always narrow down to 2 options, usually, unless the question is, extremely difficult. Right? Hi Shri, hello Milind, hi Shreya. Hope all of you are doing well. Right. So, these are your instructions for the coming few questions. Each sentence has a part that is underlined or the whole of it is underlined. Now, beneath the sentence, you will find 5 ways of phrasing it, the underlined part. And the first one will repeat the original words only, right? The other 4 are different. So you have to tell me which of these 5 options is the answer, right? So MHCT has 5 options. Therefore, all your questions are going to have 5 options today, right? Of course, you have to pay attention to grammar, word choice, sentence correction, these things, sentence construction. Okay, so here's your first question. Now, before you attempt it, I also want to talk about how you should approach such questions. See, when a part of a sentence or the whole of the sentence is repeated with some variations, when that is the question type, you should always, my bad, sorry. What you should always do is you should read the options vertically, something that I've told you earlier as well. Read the options vertically and spot the differences. So you read the original sentence. Okay, maybe you felt there is some error there. Maybe you could not spot the error. Okay, it could be either scenario depending on how difficult or easy the error is. Then scan them vertically and spot the differences. See, there is a difference here, right? So then you have to decide, okay, which of these phrases is correct, right? After this, again, there are some differences that I can see here. So what am I doing? I'm scanning the options vertically and I'm eliminating based on my knowledge of, okay, this is correct, this is not correct grammatically, right? That's how you proceed. Let's see what you say. Yes. Hi Sonu. Hi Munali. Okay, Rahul says B. Rahul, I've got your answer. Others. So read the original sentence. I have tried to meet her many a times, but she's always having a lot of work. Okay. Something seems to be off with the question sentence itself. We can see that. What is the error that you spotted right away in the original sentence? Tell me, tell me. Many a times. We feel that a is redundant there, isn't it? Many times suffices. There shouldn't be something like many a times. So this is, that means A cannot be the answer because A simply repeats the original words. Okay. Then many time is also incorrect. So some of you said B earlier. Why? Isn't many time incorrect? See, many, it is a plural adjective in the sense that we use it as a quantifier. It's a special type of adjective that we call quantifier. And it is used when I'm going to follow it up with a plural noun, okay, and not with a singular noun. So after many, for instance, I would say many bags. I would never say many bag, right? So many time is also incorrect. Now we are left with these three, and these three actually make sense. Many times, and many a time is also correct. Okay, many a time is also correct. Now let's have a look at the other differences then. Has a lot, had a lot, is always having lot. Now out of C, D, E, I'm sure that a lot of you eliminated E, because always having, even if let's say you were confused about this is always having, here you need a. Here we need a. So we eliminate E. We are left with C and D. Okay. Now I've got a lot of D's and you are not correct. See, I have tried. I have tried. Which tense is this? Yes, I have tried. This is the present tense, okay? This is the present tense. This is not the past tense. It is the present perfect tense. Present perfect tense, right? I did not say I tried. If I said I tried, then had a lot of work would be perfectly fine. Okay. It is C that is the answer, not D. I'm sure a lot of you rejected it because of many a time, but many a time is a correct phrase. Okay. So C and not D. Okay, so today we are going to do some high level questions. The level is going to be high today. Okay, that is on purpose. Uh, Many a time, if you have read the rules of subject verb agreement, this is something that comes there. Okay, the usage of many a. In terms of meaning, it is absolutely the same as many times. In terms of meaning, absolutely the same. Okay, however, there are grammatical implications. So, for instance, if I say, give me, I need some space. So if I say that many girls uh, dash becoming stronger, let's say. So you know outrightly that I have to use are here because girls plural. But when I say many a girl, it means that I'm saying many girls. The meaning is the same, but for grammar there are implications. Now I'll say is becoming stronger. Many a girl is becoming stronger. The meaning, as I said, is absolutely the same. There are just grammatical implications. So here, this is a correct phrase. There is no error here. Okay, and had is in the past tense, whereas my sentence was in the present perfect tense. I have to maintain consistency unless I have a very strong reason to use the past tense. That's why C is going to be the answer and not D. Hope this makes sense. All right. Yes, correct, Ayan. I tried is past indefinite and this is the present perfect. Okay, perfect. So you've got this. If you have any query, please ask. Right? Let's have a look at this one. Again, 5 options in front of you. This part is underlined here. Please eliminate. Please spot. First, read the original sentence. See if you find it erroneous. Then spot the differences. Usually you find a lot of differences right in the beginning. Usually. So spot the differences. See which of them is correct, which of them is not correct, and then eliminate. Yes. Take your time, but focus on accuracy. Okay. All right. Before you finalize your answer, read the underlined part plus read the remaining part of the sentence. It is not that you just have to focus on the underlined part. The underlined part should match with the rest of the sentence also, right? So as a final measure, I suggest that you, whatever option you narrow down to, read it with the remaining part also. So this is a placement error. Okay. Others, anyone else who differs from B? Whose answer differs from B? Okay. So let's look at it logically. Now, to Suresh, Delhi was his home long before it was considered acceptable to leave one's home for job opportunities. So, when I say Delhi was his home long before it was considered acceptable, this seems to be confusing. Does this it refer to Delhi? To Suresh, Delhi was his home long before it was considered acceptable to leave one's home. So, this actually is a very confusing sentence because it's not clear what this it refers to. Eliminated. Now, if you see, Delhi was Suresh's home, right? So in a way, he considered Delhi his home. So I should place these two ideas side by side, as close to each other as possible, isn't it? Because to whom Delhi was his home? To Suresh, right? So now here, when I use for Suresh and I use Delhi was his home here, place this phrase in between, this clause in between. And if you see, this creates an unnecessary distance between for Suresh and Delhi was his home. For Suresh, long before it was acceptable to leave one's home for job opportunities. So was it not acceptable for Suresh? For Suresh, long before it was acceptable. Am I not talking about it in a societal sense, long before the society considered it acceptable? This sentence gives the impression that for Suresh it was not acceptable. Whereas I want to say in general it was not considered acceptable. So for Suresh, long before it was considered acceptable to leave one's home for job opportunities, Delhi was his home. Now, this is unnecessarily creating a hindrance between these two ideas. Plus, it is giving the impression that for Suresh it was unacceptable, which is not what I want to say. Now, Suresh made Delhi his home long before to be acceptable. Long before to be acceptable. This is an absolutely grammatically incorrect construction. Okay, long before to be acceptable. Long before it was acceptable makes sense. To be acceptable? No. Okay, we're left with D and E. Long before it was considered acceptable to leave one's home for job opportunities, okay, long before that period, Suresh made Delhi his home. Now this makes perfect sense. Suresh made Delhi his home and he remained there. Now see, it flows with the rest of the part also. And he remained there. So Suresh made Delhi his home, and then I say something about Delhi and Suresh both. And he, so Suresh was the subject of the previous part. Suresh made Delhi his home and he remained there, which means in Delhi, long after a lot of people left. Okay, so it is D Delhi, that is the answer, and not B Bangalore. Okay, let's have a look at E also. Long before it was considered acceptable leaving. Oh, this is erroneous right here. It was considered acceptable leaving is an incorrect structure. Acceptable to leave is what should come here. Does this make sense? So this was a tricky, complex question. This was not an easy question, right? It would fall in the category of difficult questions. This just required your time. Okay, so some time and some logic would ensure accuracy in this. Okay, it was important to realize this, that there were pronoun ambiguities in the sentences that were there. So for instance, A and B had a pronoun ambiguity. It was not clear what did it refer to. Here it was not clear whether it was acceptable for Suresh or not acceptable for the society. Not acceptable for Suresh or not acceptable for the society. So we had to learn this, understand this. All right. Let's have a look at another question then. So give me some responses. If things are clear, say yes. If they're not, you should say no. Okay, I need to know. Okay, this is a relatively simpler question. Let me see what you say here. So I expect about 60 responses, nothing less. No negative marking, remember? Okay, got my first answer. Shreya says B. All right. Okay. Radhika says D. Okay. Jay also says D. I've got a C also. But primarily, I think you've narrowed down to B and D. Let's have a look. Now, one or another does not make sense. One or the other reason. One or the other reason. Right? Uh, for no reason is fine, right? But this one says she always hit, whereas this one says she was always hitting. Now, those who say D, why? Yes. Those who say D, you are correct. But why? See, I understand that when we talk about habits, we use the simple tense or some of you call it the indefinite tense, right? Simple tense use करते हैं हम. So I walk every day or she walked every day. Okay. So here I'm talking about a past habit and ideally speaking, I should use the past simple tense. I should use the past simple tense. However, in case you have studied tenses, then you know that when we talk about these obstinate habits, okay, obstinate habits, persistent habits, and usually these are negative habits, right? When do I call something obstinate? When it is not a positive thing. So those habits that continue despite, let's say, your annoyance, despite your telling the other person not to do so. So negative habits, for them, I use the continuous tense and not the simple tense. She was always chewing gum in my class. He was always surfing the internet in my class. Of course, I would not like it, right? So I will use the continuous tense here and not the simple tense. And that's why eliminated, eliminated. Okay, eliminated. It comes down to these two, and this is logically incorrect. It should be for no reason and not for a reason. Yes? So this is a new lesson for you. See, you should be thorough with tenses because it's a very integral, very important part of verbs. And in the first question also have tried present perfect, and that's why the present tense should be used. That connection was there. So be thorough with your tenses. Okay? So far we've talked about tenses, we've talked about modifiers, we've talked about maintaining consistency, and here there was also another important difference, something versus anything, right? Then we saw pronoun ambiguity in the previous sentence, right? So many grammar concepts being applied to these questions. So ultimately, it's all about knowing your grammar well and being able to eliminate. Okay, so anything was wrong with her. Does it make sense? So either I say something was wrong with her or I say nothing was wrong with her. Anything was wrong with her does not make sense. Okay, anything is used in the sense, first is a negative sense. I did not say anything to him. So it's used in negative sentences. And the other is when we say it does not matter which. Oh, you can sing anything. I don't mind. You can just play anything. Right? So it does not matter which or it does not matter what. Second usage is in that sense. Neither usage is required here. Okay. Correct, Jay. Absolutely. Yes, Monali, that those were the instructions in case you've joined us a little later. The first option, it repeats the original sentence. It repeats the original underlined part. Okay. Now, let's have a look at this one. Again, the first option, it repeats the underlined part. The others are different. Okay. Tell me what the answer should be. Pranav says C. Others? Let's see what the others say. D. All right. So C and D, that's what I've got. Anybody else? Sumit says A. Come on. I want more responses. Just eliminate and you'll get it. A. Okay. So you think the original one is fine. Okay. Okay. So tell me something. A range, and this is as much a mathematical concept as it is a language concept. When we talk about a range, we say from X to Y. This is a range, isn't it? From X to Y. So now let's have a look at this question here. First of all, B should be eliminated. Why? Because my idea is not to give examples, such as is used to present examples. I am rather talking about a range from X to Y, and this includes X and Y. That's the idea. So B changes the meaning of the sentence, and that's why it cannot be the answer. Let's have a look at the others now. So ranging from a new airport check-in procedures, is there, does the article a fit with a plural noun? A new procedures. A cannot be the answer. Those who said A, you may have. Acha, okay. We'll come to other questions also, relatively simpler questions also. Don't worry, okay. The idea was just to expose you to some difficult questions today, because see, you can find a lot of easy questions even in your memory-based papers, right? All right. Let's have a look at C, D, and E now. Ranging from new airport check-in procedures, fine, fine. So this part is pretty much the same. That encourage passengers to use self-service kiosks, again. So till this part, all these three options are same. The difference is here. Okay. All right. So this is the difference. And to reducing. Do we say from X and to Y? From X and to Y, or do we say from X to Y when we define a range? We say from X to Y. So this is incorrect. So please pay attention to various words. If you speed read through these questions, you will ignore, perhaps your mind will ignore these small little things. Okay, but they help you to eliminate. So don't speed read through these questions. Now it comes down to two reductions versus two reducing. So let me see what what the other parts are saying. So measures ranging from XY procedures that encourage passengers to use self-service kiosks to reductions. So from procedures, what should I say? From procedures to reductions or from procedures to reducing? Which one makes sense? From procedures to reductions, from XYZ procedures to ABC reductions, or from XYZ procedures to ABC reducing? I think now it's very clear. It should not be this, it should be this. Yes, are you with me? C is the right one. Okay. All right. So D is the right one. We eliminated C. D is the right one. To reducing galat hai. To reductions is going to be the correct one. And you see, I just simplified it so much for myself. There was a lot of, see, there is always going to be a lot of noise when it comes to lengthy sentences. You always have to focus on the differences because therein lies the answer. A not given in the others, given here does not match procedures. Okay, such as different. No, it does not mean ranging from. Range is always from to. It's not from and to. Eliminated. Then from A to B, A and B should look like each other. A and B should be consistent. So procedures to reductions make sense and not procedures to reducing. That makes D the answer. Okay. All right. So this was one question type wherein a part of the sentence or the whole of the sentence is underlined and you have to now correct it. What is the other question type that can come? And it's a feature, it's a unique feature of MAHCET that it gives you a sentence divided into three parts, 1, 2 and 3. And then for each part, a correction statement, a corresponding statement that suggests a correction is given. Now you have to determine the part that actually requires correction. Let's see. It may seem a little complicated just by looking at the directions. Look at the question. One sentence divided into fragments. These are the suggested correction statements. Now they may be correct, they may not be correct. You have to see, compare these the parts A, 1, 2 and 3, compare it with 1, 2 and 3 and see, is one correct? Does it need correction? If it does not need correction, then you eliminate these options right away. If it needs correction and one actually makes that correction, then it is going to be a part of the answer. Then probably B, D and E are the answers. That's how you attempt this. Hope I'm making sense. If anything is not clear, please ask. Otherwise, attempt. Let's see. Mock analysis. Karthik, okay. I'll talk to my team about it. I'm sure there already must be some videos on YouTube regarding this on our channel, but I'll forward this concern to our team. Yash says C. Yes, Karthik, just answered your concern. Monali says D. So actually, yesterday we had a CMAT session. CE, all right. But a lot of C's in the chat box, I can see. All right, so I see that you see that C should be the answer. Let's see if it is indeed the answer. Okay, remember no negative marking, so there's no harm in answering. New research suggests that the impact of a person's physical health on their mental health is so profound. Okay, all right. So I've first thing to do here is in such a question is you read the whole sentence. Don't read just the first part and then right away compare it to the first correction statement, because see, new research suggests that the impact, so whether this that should come or not will be determined by the rest of the sentence. Okay, so suggests that the impact is actually correct. One does not require a correction. So good that many of you eliminated. Now it actually comes down to three. Two does require a correction statement. The correction is that it should be his or her, because we said a person. A person is singular, and while in our conversations we use their in order to be gender neutral, formal British English has still not incorporated this. Written British English has still not incorporated this, and that is why we still continue this archaic practice of using his or her. So two requires a correction. Now, so and that. Yes, it is so bad that I had to do this. Okay. So and that makes for a pair. So here that is missing and here it is present. The other things are the same. So C is the one that makes the most sense. You are absolutely correct. Okay. So relatively simpler question. Yes. Good. Let's look at another one of the same type. Why is there not correct? THEIR you mean? Because it was a person. A person is considered singular. It's a singular noun, whereas there is a plural pronoun. Okay. So that is why traditional English says that you can't use there for one single person. You can use it for people. You can use it for persons, but not for a person. For a person, traditional grammar says that you have to use his or her because these are singular pronouns. Okay. What is required in the first sentence? With about which question are you asking this in the first sentence? So this is in the first sentence that is already present. In the first fragment you should say that is already present, and this is correct. It does not need any correction. So that is why I eliminated these right away. Okay. So here also look at these fragments. First read these collectively. See if there are any glaring errors that you are able to spot. See if they have been corrected here and accordingly tell me the answer. Okay, B Bangalore, D Delhi. All right. What else? C again. Okay. Others. Let's see. So, does the first fragment need a correction? As per analysts' estimates. Now, see the estimates of the analysts, isn't it? That's what I want to say. So either I should put an apostrophe here. As per analysts' estimates, analysts' K estimates, estimates belonging to the analysts, estimates made by the analysts. That's what it would mean. So this is erroneous right here. And it needs a correction. So how that correction has been made is they turned this analyst into an adjective, which is also correct way of making this correction. So analyst estimates, here I'm using it as an adjective. Okay, and that's why it becomes singular. Okay, so remember we did this question. The rope is the 20 foot long rope. The 20-foot long rope. So there I told you that it will be foot and not feet. It will be foot and not feet because it comes before the noun. Right, so it will not be plural, it would rather be singular. The same logic applies here also. Because I'm using it as an adjective and it comes before the noun, I'll say as per analyst estimates, and this is correct. The growing pessimism, first of it cannot be the grown pessimism, it has to be the growing pessimism. So if let's say you did not pay attention to this also, then also I think it was pretty obvious that one is the correct correction statement. This needed correction, right? So these two options C and E are eliminated. Let's look at second. Now, reflect versus reflects. So, what reflects? The pessimism, right? The pessimism reflects the fear. Pessimism is singular and therefore it should be reflect. So, even two needs a correction. And this is the correction. So, this one is eliminated. The answer is B. Everyone is with me here? Now it's not so hard. Yes, this question type is not so difficult. All right. Perfect then, if this is clear to you. Okay, let's go to the next one then. So again, read the whole sentence here. See what requires a correction and is this the correct correction, and then mark accordingly. Okay, let's see. Okay, okay. More responses, come on. Again, easy. So is it E? Is it C? Some of you say C, that the third one needs correction. Why? Why does the third one need correction? We've used schools. Schools is plural, right? So with plural, we need there. We can't use its. Yes? So 3 also does not need any correction. You're absolutely correct. Those who said E is the answer. None of the above. This is a perfect sentence. The report suggested that schools should discard unneeded benches, consolidate petty expenses, and use their learning space more efficiently. That is what they should do. Should discard, should consolidate. So this should works for all these elements. Discard, consolidate, and use their learning space more efficiently. No error, an error-free sentence, and that is why none of the above. Hope this makes sense. So these were, this is again a unique MAHCET question type, and that's why I wanted to discuss this with you. Of course, what we are doing here is we are correcting errors. So again, you just had to read carefully, see if any error felt obvious to you, and compare each fragment with the suggested correction statement to find out if it really needed correction or not. Okay. Now, let's have a look at another question type. So here you have to find the correct sentence. A sentence has been expressed in 5 different ways. Identify the option that expresses the sentence correctly in terms of standard English. So here, this is your sentence. It has been expressed in 5 different ways. One of the ways is correct. So actually similar to the sentence correction questions that we saw earlier, just that here the whole of the sentence has been repeated multiple times. Again, the approach will remain similar to what we had earlier. Compare, right? See what are the differences and then solve. Let's see what you say. All right, Monali says E. A simple question. That is error spotting, Jay. So because this was an error correction session, that's why I didn't bring that. That is called error detection. There you're just detecting an error. Here you are correcting an error. Okay. A lot of you say D. Sonu says C. Okay. B also I've got. So B, C, D. Others. E. Okay. That means you think A is incorrect, but the others are, I mean, any of the others could be the answer. Yes. So, see, this is so easy to eliminate. Vaccines has is incorrect, right? Vaccines is plural. So, vaccines has raised hopes does not make sense, right? Similarly, here there's a tense inconsistency. Although various COVID vaccines had raised hopes for a cure finally being in sight, many scientists are still skeptical. So, there is a tense inconsistency. From the present perfect, we've straight away jumped, sorry, from the past perfect, we've straight away jumped to the present tense. Yes? So, inconsistent. Then, uh, although various COVID vaccines have raised hopes for there being a cure finally in sight, okay, seems a little wordy, doesn't it? For there being a cure finally in sight. Why to have this unnecessary being? Why not say raised hopes that a cure is finally in sight? So for there being a cure, this is unnecessarily wordy and distorted. Between A and D, what is the difference? A cure is finally in sight versus there is a cure finally in sight. Which is more concise? It is D, Delhi, which is more concise, isn't it? Why this unnecessary there when I can manage with hopes that a cure is finally in sight? They have raised hopes that a cure is finally in sight. So excellent, those who said D, that is the answer. Not a tricky question if you compare your options and eliminate. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Good, Sonu. What do you say? Unlike, okay, we are comparing, aren't we? B, C, all right. D, okay. Three Ds, three Bs, okay. So, see, sometimes you will find that a particular word is erroneous. So, for instance, using had in the previous question along with are. So, we found that okay, it was a tense error and the particular word had there was erroneous. Sometimes, on the other hand, the error will be in the way the sentence has been constructed, and it will be a logical error as well. So, for instance, a comparison is happening here, isn't it? A comparison always happens between similar things, similar ideas. So, now look at the first sentence here. It says, unless the previous chancellor's 12-point system. So, what is the subject here? The 12-point system. The 12-point system, this is just a descriptor. This is an adjective actually. So, the 12-point system is the subject. Now, if you compare the 12-point system, here you should have written the grading system. If this is the subject of this clause here, then when I begin a new clause here, the subject should be the grading system. You can't compare the 12-point system to a new chancellor. You can't compare a thing to a person. That is the error here. Okay. Now this says, now see this, unlike the previous chancellor and his 12-point system which dominated academics earlier. So what are the subjects? The previous chancellor and his 12-point system, right? The new chancellor. So now again the subject should be the new chancellor and his grading system. Okay, that should be the subject. Again, there is a mismatch. You can't compare these two things with the new chancellor. You can just compare the previous chancellor with the new chancellor. Eliminated. Unlike the previous chancellor, now see, here what is the subject? The previous chancellor. Now I am just describing whose 12-point system dominated academics earlier? The new chancellor. So here the comparison is right. I give this as the subject, right? This is the subject here. This is just a description, and it comes in between these commas which serve as brackets. These are called parenthetical commas. I am comparing the previous chancellor with the new chancellor, which is a logical way to go about it. This is the answer. Look at D and E. Again, here the 12-point system is the subject. Here the new chancellor is the subject. Then here again, previous chancellor and his 12-point system is the subject, whereas here the new chancellor is the subject. So C is my answer here. I hope this is clear to you. In case it isn't, please let me know. I'll repeat it. Okay. How should option A be written? The way option C has been written. Okay. Acha. You are saying that in case I want to make this the subject. In that case, I'll have to turn this into the passive voice. If I want to retain everything the way it is, and I just want to change the subject, I will say, unlike the previous chancellor's 12-point system that dominated academics earlier, the grading system was founded by the new chancellor. But that's a passive construction, was founded by. So we avoid such construction. So even that will not be the best way to write it. The subject should be the previous chancellor and the new chancellor. Okay, so C is the best way to write it. Okay. All right then. So let's look at a different question now. This is not one sentence written in 5 different ways. We have 3 different sentences and you just have to find out which of them is correct. Right? These are your options. So just 5 options here. That's what I was wondering. Yeah, 5 options. Tell me which of the combinations are correct. Last question for the day. I want your enthusiastic response. Come on. Okay. All right, all right. Pranav has answered the fastest. He says B. Others? Okay. 1. Okay. All right. So this will be a learning for you. This is something that I also learned later in my life, right? A good few, not a few, quite a few. Yes. Before revealing the answer, I want some more responses. All of them are correct. 5 is the answer. Not a few people means a considerable number. A considerable number. So this is a way of saying a considerable number of people attended the seminar. Quite a few is a very common usage. Yes, that's why so many of you said only be. Quite a few, it means many, right? A good few again means a fairly large number. A fairly large number. A good few people attended the seminar. That means a fairly large number of people attended the seminar. And I think this must be a new usage for many of you. Yes? So, C is also correct. The answer is 5 here. All A, B and C. Okay? All right. So see, you are learning new things. That should be the aim of the sessions, right? That you learn new things here so that they don't appear new in the exam. So I hope you got an insight into what all ways I can frame an error correction question in, right? And how to approach each such question type. That was the aim of today's session. I hope it helped you. If it did, please press the like button, right? And do share it with your friends. In case you're preparing for CAT 23 also, or any of your friends are, then a new batch is available for it. You can enroll right now. The link is in the description box. For making this, batch accessible, we also have some scholarships available for you. Take the test on the 4th March at 7 p.m. And if you score well here, you can get up to a 90% scholarship. If you are confused about your CAT 23 strategy, again, or any of your friends are, then you should recommend this workshop to them on the 7th of March at 7 p.m., right? Where we'll answer all your queries about strategy, about maximizing your score, about preparation. Also stay connected. I'm very sure that all of you have subscribed to the channel so that you keep getting notifications for various sessions. Okay, I assure you we'll have a lot of MAHCET and CMAT sessions, right? So in fact, that's what we've been doing for some days, right? Having these sessions. And do attend the grammar capsule because it will help you in both the cases, whether you're taking MAHCET, whether you're taking CMAT, right? So you saw that some of these questions were based on grammar concepts. So if you attend the grammar capsules, there we focus on building those concepts, right? And yes, this is our Telegram handle. Do download the BYJU'S Exam Prep app in case you're preparing for 2023, CAT 23. We do have some very informative CAT sessions there. All right, then this is it from my side for today. Welcome, guys. Welcome. That's okay, Videep. You can watch the recording. And if you have any queries, you can post them in the comment section. I'll answer there. Okay. Welcome. Bye bye.